Chapter 2. How Frank and Marie Met. Now that Frank has the real diamond wedding band put away for safekeeping, all he has to do is find the girl of his dreams. He started to go to clubs and met different women that he dated, but they didn't have the spark that he was looking for. His mother noticed a change in him and said, "Son, what's bothering you?" He said that he wanted to go out on his own and didn't want to be tied to her apron strings. His mother told him that whatever he wanted to do was all right with her. Frank went back to doing his job and saving his money to create a nest egg for him and the girl of his dreams. Frank's mom talked to this guy who was a friend of the family about getting Frank a girlfriend. He said that he knew me for a while and that I lived alone and nearby. The friend of the family asked Frank if he could fix the broken antenna on my TV. Frank said sure. He took Frank to my apartment, and when they arrived, he said, "Marie, this is Frank." And I said, "I'm pleased to meet you." Frank got the TV working fine. It was a bad connection. I asked Frank, "How much do I owe you?" The friend of the family said, "I will pay him." Frank gave me his phone number and said, "If you need anything done, call me." Lo and behold, I called him and told Frank that my record player was acting up and could he come over and look at it, and he said sure. When he arrived, he said, "Marie, where's the broken phono?" I showed it to him, and he said, "I think you need a new needle," and that he would take the old one and get a new one in a couple of days. This was only the start of many visits to my apartment. Frank came back and fixed the record player and anything and everything that I needed fixed. I tried to pay him, and he said, "You can chalk it up to our friendship." Since Frank had a car, he took me to drive-in movies, dinners, and any place I wanted to go. I was falling in love with Frank, and he was falling in love with me. He asked me, "Would you like to meet my mom and stepdad?" I said, "Yes." Frank only lived a few blocks from my apartment. When we got there, Frank's mom was waiting at the door and said, "I have been looking forward to meeting you, and I have heard a lot of good things about you, and I hope that you will make Frank happy." His mother liked the idea that I was a little older than him. Frank took me as much as he could to see his mom and stepdad. Frank started staying overnight at my apartment only on weekends. Remember, at this point of the story, nobody knows about the real diamond, including me. While lying in bed with Frank, he told me that both his mother and real dad were both in show business, and his mother met his father at the 1933 Chicago World's Fair. They both worked the 1939 World's Fair, as well as carnivals, circuses, and expositions across the country. I asked Frank, "What did your parents do when they performed?" Frank told me that his mom was a singer, exotic dancer, fortune teller, and a stunt motorcycle driver. Frank told me that his father worked with Frank Buck as an animal trainer, and he was also a song and dance man, a sideshow barker, and did stunts in silent movies. Then, with tears in his eyes, Frank told me that his father died when he was only 12 years old because of alcoholism and cancer of the throat due to heavy smoking. He also told me that this is why he doesn't drink or smoke. I told Frank that I don't drink or smoke either. Frank then said, "It looks like we are going to grow old together." I was getting to know Frank more and more every day. Frank asked me that if he got his own place, would I move in with him? I said, "Wherever you go, I go." Frank then told me that he was looking at different places in the same neighborhood. In the meantime, we kept going to see his mother and stepdad. Frank told me that he was growing tomato plants in his mother's backyard and that he had a green thumb. During one of our many visits to his mother's house, he showed me the plants. They were taller than me. In the center, he had plants that were green but no fruit. I asked Frank, why is there no fruit on some of the plants? He told me that he was trying to develop a new kind of plant and that he would explain later. The next night in bed, Frank told me that the plants in the center with no fruit were pot plants. I told him that he had a lot of explaining to do and it better be good.